You ever feel like you're killing it in the office, but you're powerless at home? Let's talk about it. Well, hello again, I'm Linda, emotion coach and hypnotherapist, and this message goes out to all my moms, wives, women who have a powerful presence when it comes to how they show up at work or in their business. But they feel like the way that they show up in their home life looks completely different. I want you to know that you're not alone. It's not uncommon for women who have just exceptional qualities when it comes to owning it, managing their business, and showing up, in the best, possible version of themselves at work, that you can come home and feel like, well, this isn't matching the energy that I have outside the home. When it comes to how I am, in the office and the boardroom, people respect me, people listen to me. I own my power. I know what to do. I know how to act, how to be. I am myself. But when I go home, I feel stifled. I feel at odds. I feel tension. I feel like I have to make myself small. This is a fairly common, unfortunate experience for women who feel this sort of like shift between their professional and their personal lives. And it's so disorienting, right? It can be incredibly discouraging to feel like these two parts of your life are not matching up. That the way that you show up outside your home is not being reflected in the way that you feel with the people that you live with, especially if you feel that way with your own partner. And a lot of times what I see is that women who are in this position can really start to long for just escapism. They just feel like they want to run away. They want to get away from it all. They want to kind of, bag those relationships. It just feels like it's hopeless. It feels like there's really nothing much to be done there. And the only place where they can really shine and rely on being able to shine and show up and be themselves is out on the professional stage. So it makes it really risky to give anything else to your home life or to your partner in those relationships when it feels like you really just don't get a return on what you invest there. But you can get a guaranteed return when you invest somewhere else. So I want to point out, right, that part of what can happen when we're in this kind of mental space is that we're likely comparing ourselves to someone else or some image that we think is real of someone else's life. And we wonder, what's wrong with us? Why can't we have it all? We've figured out this part of our lives, and yet this other part looks like it's in shambles. It looks like a mess. If someone from your professional life saw you at home, right, like, would they even recognize you, right? Would you be ashamed to let them see what it really looks like when it comes to your private life? Now, these comparisons that we're making to other people, thinking, oh, they've got it all together, they're handling their business, in all the different realms of life, and they're picking up all the pieces, why can't I do that? A lot of times we're comparing ourselves to something that actually doesn't exist, and that person has their own struggles, professionally and personally. Now, that's not to say that there's no hope for your situation. The fact is, a lot of the things that we need in order to make our lives feel a lot more balanced and to be able to lose that shame and to feel like we are consistently showing up across different areas of our lives, those are skills that were not taught when we were in school, right? I talk about this when it comes to how we parent, how we mother as well. But we're often taught skills that are more based on competition. How do we rank in comparison to somebody else? How are we competing against those who are kind of, in a similar skill level to us? Being able to have external success, that's so much more of what we are taught growing up, going through the school system and all of that. The skills of building relationships, building healthy connection, having and maintaining your boundaries, discovering yourself, knowing your own worth, understanding your value and owning that consistently. Those are not things that we are taught outside of sort of external validating symbols that we can obtain. We're not taught how to just have that intrinsically. We're not taught to just have an internal sense of self-worth as we're growing up. We're not trained in those things. And so if you feel like you're lacking in those areas, if you feel like you know how to do certain things, right? But then when it comes to your personal life, you just don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to deal with conflict. You don't know how to resolve problems. You don't know how to forgive or be forgiven. You don't know how to be vulnerable or to feel safe or to want to share your emotions. These are all things that we have to go out of our way to learn how to do. And it doesn't help that we also have our subconscious mind that's running in the background, often unexamined, overlooked, and yet running the show. It determines about 90% of our actions and our decisions, and yet we understand so little about it. So if you weren't taught these things, if you've never gone out of your way to learn how to do these things, how to understand your subconscious mind, how to redirect your subconscious mind, how to show up in your relationships, how to be vulnerable, how to be genuine, even when it feels a little bit scary, and especially if you have any subconscious programming that's telling you that you should definitely not be vulnerable because it is too scary and it's too dangerous, then it's no wonder that it's a struggle when it comes to these other aspects of your private life, these more intimate corners of your life. It's no wonder that it's more of a struggle in those areas to feel like you're succeeding and that you know what you're doing. I want you to know that thinking that the broken, sad, miserable, flawed version of you that you see and feel in your intimate spaces, believing that that is somehow truer, like a truer version of you than the powerful, confident, witty, sharp person who shows up in the professional realm. I just want you to know that it's not like that you are truly just broken and no one knows that yet. It's not that you are truly deeply flawed and the people in the professional realm just don't know that about you yet, right? You're not an imposter. You're just a regular human being with exceptional traits, right? You're a regular human being with exceptional traits. You have regular human being problems. And the skills that you need in order to solve those problems, again, they were not given to you freely while you were learning everything else, okay? So let's think about this in terms of skills versus some sort of core identity. If you're struggling with issues in your intimate life, even though you're excelling in other areas of your life, let's think about this as a skills deficit, right? A skills problem, not a core identity problem, not a who you are problem, right? So when we think about our issues in this way, it directs us to the solutions that actually have the power to change our situation. When we think about our problems and the other way, right? When we personalize them and think that, oh, this is part of my core identity, that I am flawed, that I am broken, and I'm just hiding it really well when I go to work, then you won't be able to land on the solutions that are going to be effective and that are going to solve anything that you are experiencing currently. All it's going to do is make you more isolated. You're going to feel more alone. You're going to be judging yourself more, comparing yourself more, and hiding away more because you'll think, oh, no one can see me like this, right? I can't let anyone find out. It's just going to make you hide more when actually what you need is more connection with yourself and connection with others. Not to mention spiritual connection, whatever your spiritual values are. We are beings that are very complicated, right? We have multiple layers to us. And so being able to take the time to invest in all of our layers is a huge part of what makes us healthy enough to actually find the solutions that are going to be most effective and that are going to bring us the most joy. So if you thought about this in terms of a skills deficit versus just a core identity that you are just a flawed, broken person, then you can think in terms of, wow, like what would it be to invest in gaining those skills that I don't have yet, right? You don't have it yet. if I was able to invest in gaining those kinds of skills for relationship, for boundaries, for self-acceptance and compassion, etc., 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 if I invested as much time gaining those skills as I have in gaining the skills for whatever, you do professionally now, wow, like, okay, how far ahead would I be? How much further would you be if you had years of investing in those kinds of skills for yourself? If you had years of understanding your own subconscious mind? I mean, wild, huh? If you had years of practice with being vulnerable, with being skilled with it, not just being vulnerable with whoever, but being skilled with it, with being skilled in self-compassion. How would you talk to yourself today if you had years of practice honing your skills with knowing how to do that? How easy would it be to maintain your boundaries? I love this way of thinking because a skills focus equalizes the playing field. No longer is it about that person over there just is better than you or luckier than you or something like that. Now it just becomes a matter of investing the time and energy in building those skills over time, seeing that exponential growth and how it affects your life because you took the time to invest in these things that actually matter, that actually impact all areas of your life, right? We can learn skills that make us great at our profession, and it won't necessarily make us great when it comes to parenting our children or maintaining a healthy relationship for the long term. However, the skills that we learn that actually help us to be an excellent parent and an excellent partner and to be able to receive in good things in all of our relationships, those things do translate across the board. So when you have those skills, when you invest the time to gain them, they do most of the heavy lifting of the things that you now find too difficult to bear. And so then you find that you're no longer driven by these unconscious, subconscious fears and needs, unmet needs, wants, drivers. You're no longer controlled by those things because now you're much more conscious of them. And you know how to direct your energy in a way that is positive and that brings life and that brings fulfillment and that maintains a wonderful sense of connection with everyone around you. So if you realize from listening to this, thinking about it, that your current skill level is not matching where you want to be emotionally, spiritually, intimately, psychologically, right? If you find that your current skill level isn't matching that, it's not able to get you there, just know that this is something that you can change because it's not a core identity issue, right? We already established that. So if you're not where you want to be in terms of how you feel internally or the way you are and the way that you feel in your relationships, I recommend taking 2 steps, okay? Because this is something that I have worked with folks in the mental health field and the transformation work for 14 years, the past 14 years. And so I've looked at a lot of the tools that have the most power for transforming our lives quickly when it comes to these kinds of issues. And I have a couple tools for you, okay? So I have 2 recommendations. The first is to go to the link in the description box and take the self-love style quiz. This will be a way that you can quickly have a snapshot, a better understanding of how you operate and what your needs are when it comes to your self-care practices, what we normally call self-care practices. So I want you to go and take that quiz so you can get your personalized video and the PDF download that goes through all the self-love styles and how they operate along with what their needs are. The second step I ask you to take is to go ahead and check out the Self-Love Slowdown course. It's a course I designed with these needs in mind, and it goes through my 6-step framework for being able to lay a foundation that creates, it does the inside job. It's like the inside job that you need to get the external results that have been just out of reach all this time for you. And this works regardless of if we're talking about professional growth, personal growth, your friendships, the way you feel about yourself, your confidence. It's going to work for all of those things because it's all the same foundational core issues that tend to get in the way and that you can do something about, right? So those links are both in the description box below, and feel free to comment in the comments below self-love and let me know where you are on your self-love journey. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.